Get ready for all of my secrets. I can raise people from the dead. A Scouse queen, introvert problems. Really? It gives me the ick. The Twilight books, call the police. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm Ray, what Ray reads. Follow me on Instagram. Go on, you know you want to.
Yeah, you do.
And we're sitting down, and today we've got something a little bit different. Somewhat book related, somewhat personal. And since we hit 1k, which I still can't believe, I noticed that Lit with Cat, I'll include it here. She's another booktuber and a bookstagrammer who I really enjoy, so go follow her. She did a Q&A when she hit 1k and I thought, what a fun idea, I'm gonna do it as well. I'm copying, plus it gives us a bit more of a chance to get to know each other. So I asked on the community page, and I also left a question box for a few days on my Instagram. So a few of you asked me questions and I narrowed it down to 21 questions because, you know, that's a game and it's just a little bit more catchy. Some personal, some bookish, and we'll just get to them, shall we? We're going to start with the bookish questions. So question 1. What book do you constantly think about years after finishing it? These type of questions are always a little bit challenging. It's like, you know, what's your favourite book? What's your favourite film?
Oh my god, it's like Sophie's Choice.
As someone who's quite anxious and has hoarder tendencies, holds on to things, choosing a favourite of anything's a challenge, and I end up just listing things that I really like. I do have one book though that made an impact on me on my reading journey, and that is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, and I read that a few years ago now. I don't know what made me read it, but it really had a profound impact on me, and I think because it deals with socio-economic issues and dysfunctional family dynamics, poverty, and the author's journey to overcome that, it just really stayed with me, and there were like lots of parallels in her life that I've experienced with my family dynamics, and I just still think about that book a lot, and I always recommend it to people. And a few other books that I still think about and stayed with me were My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and then a recent book, I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. So there's some books that stayed with me. Question number 2. Tell us your reading love story and how it all began for you. And another question that I sort of tailed onto that was, how did you discover your love for reading, and was there a particular book that ignited that for you? So I'm just going to come out and say it. The Twilight books, they're what got me into reading. I'll hold my hands up and admit it. I wasn't much of a reader in childhood. I wasn't really encouraged to read. There weren't that many books around the house. So it wasn't until I was in school when I started reading. I'd read like the occasional like celebrity memoir. It wasn't until Twilight where I was like hooked in and I was like seated ready to read all the books quickly. That was like a book series that really got me excited and showed me how enjoyable reading is. And then after that I did start reading more frequently, not as much as I do now, but I realised that I enjoyed reading. And I also remember reading Just Kids by Patti Smith when I was in my indie phase, and I wanted to be Alexa Chung. Then it wasn't until like 2013 when I got a library card and I got out a little book called Gone Girl, and wow, what a journey I went on with that one. But after that I became an avid reader because I realised how gripping and thrilling reading is, and because when you get them out the library as well, you have like 3 or 4 weeks to read them, but it makes you want to read more. So I'd say Gone Girl ignited my love for reading.
I'm so crazy, stupid, happy.
And there was definitely an uptick in the amount of books I read, but then once the pandemic happened, that just sort of hit maximum speed, and now I read like multiple books a month. But yeah, Twilight got me into reading, and call the police. Question 3. Favourite literary villain? It's gotta be Amy from Gone Girl.
You better work, girl.
Unhinged female, we know I love them. Sociopath, entertaining. Sorry, but she's an icon.
Not my problem.
Get back to me when you've said something as good as the cool girl monologue. Always. Question number 4. Favourite childhood books? As I said in question 2, I didn't really grow up in like a household that encouraged me to read. I remember like when it was World Book Day at school, and you know, I never had money for books. books. I think now you get a book token, but I did mention in one of my videos I grew up in foster care for a large portion of my childhood, and I wasn't really encouraged to read there either, but then my auntie did buy me like a couple of books. I remember reading Jacqueline Wilson, The Suitcase Kid, and that was the first book I remember enjoying because I seen parallels in my own life as a foster child. The Suitcase Kid, foster care. And I also remember reading the Mary-Kate and Ashley Two of a Kind books. Both me and my sister got one each, and then we'd like read each other's. But yeah, I didn't really read much in childhood. But I can't save that for Cher. Thankfully, you know, she made amends for that in adulthood. Question 5. What book do you feel changed you as a person? Another difficult question. It's like given Sophie's choice. I can't decide. I'm very indecisive. I'm either like very, yes, let's do this, smiling, or I'm very indecisive. It's usually when I'm asked like favourite things. As I said, I find it hard to choose, so I'm just going to give you some books that impacted me upon first time reading them. And these are books that I often recommend. So we've got The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, Eileen by Atessa Moshfegh. I'd actually say Atessa Moshfegh was the first author that got me like really hooked into literary fiction. I usually like character driven stories, so they're just a few that impacted me and changed me as a reader, I'd say. Question 6, favourite and least favourite genres to read. So my favourite genres are literary fiction, contemporary fiction, and I love the occasional memoir. And my least favourite genres are, surprise, surprise, fantasy. I just can't get into it. Although I did read Babel and loved Babel, so I'm going to read more R.F. Kuang because I think her fantasy is a lot of the time based in historical truth. And another genre I don't tend to gel with is romance because it gives me the ick.
I said it, I'm not taking it back, I meant you.
And it's just a bit far-fetched, and I'm just like, really? That's why I like Emily Henry, because she does rom-com, but she's given realism. Number 7, what are your favourite bookshops in Liverpool? If you didn't know, I'm a Scouse Queen, a Liver Bird, a Liverpool girly, and obviously I love Waterstones because just the vast array of books they've got, it's like a big bookshop, but we've got them everywhere. So let's give a shout out to the indies. My favourite bookshop is a bookshop on Bold Street, an independent bookshop called News From Nowhere, and they specialise in like female and LGBTQ stories, and they always have a great selection of books, and it's like an institution in Liverpool. It's been there for ages, so if you're ever in Liverpool, check that out. Question 8, this is an interesting one. If you could get an author to swap genres for one book, what genre would it be and who's the author? I was like, quite a few. And then I thought one of my favourite contemporary authors is Atessa Moshfegh, and she does a lot of dark and unlikable females.
See, that's Mother.
And a lot of her characters have like a nihilistic outlook, and I thought, wouldn't it be good if she did like a romance? Because I'd love to see how she approached romance, and I think it'd have like an unhinged quality, and it'd have a unique and dark quality to it, and I just think I'd love to see it. Atessa, if you ever do romance, I'll be pre-ordering it. Question 9, what drink would you pair with your favourite books? Another one I struggle to answer because, you know, I can't pick. I'm just giving you 2 books that I've really enjoyed, one that I always recommend and one that I recently loved. So my go-to fave is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Can I say that anymore in this video? And the drink I'd pair with that is just a regular warm comforting cup of coffee, because it's a book set in America and it deals with family dynamics, and specifically the lead character. I feel like she needs a lot of comfort, and just a standard cup of coffee is quite comforting.
This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Well, it is for me anyway, so I feel like she needs a comforting drink, and a coffee is great for that. And then a new book favourite of mine is I Who Have Never Known Men, and the drink I'd pair with that is just straight up a glass of water. Them girls have been through enough, they just need a glass of water.
May I have a glass of water, please?
Room temperature, they don't even need ice. Question 10, dream dinner party guests. Another one where I'm like, there's just too many. So my first person I'd invite to a dinner party is Milo. I'm trying to film a video. You getting up? He's like, I think you'll invite me to the dinner party, Rachel. So the first person I'd invite is Colleen Hoover. Just kidding. No, she'd be at the children's table. I was having a think, and I was like, I want a kind of well-rounded group of people who I feel like would have interesting conversations with each other and would get along. So we've got, oh, it said dead or alive as well, so you know, I can raise people from the dead. Bless you. So the first person, Sylvia Plath. May she take the conversation in a dark turn? Perhaps, but you know, she's still invited. Fiona Apple. I love Fiona Apple. Bruce Springsteen. Absolutely live for Bruce Springsteen. I'd invite the Japanese author Maiko Kawakami. I absolutely love her books, specifically Breasts and Eggs. The drag queen Cassia, what a hoot she'd be. Zendaya, because I'm currently obsessed with Zendaya and I just think she seems like a interesting and engaging person. Pedro Pascal, because everyone loves him and he's a sassy queen.
Slay and yas.
And I think he'd get along with everyone as well. He'd be like, you know, chatting to everyone. And then Angelina Jolie, because I also love her. Not only is she stunning, but she seems like a wonderful person. So tell me that is not an iconic table lineup. We've got a bit of everyone in there. And the final question in the book category is, how do you choose what books you're going to read next? And in all honesty, I don't really have a system. I did used to have a system where I'd create like a little TBR stack for the month and I'd try and stick to it, but she never did. And I started leaning more into the mood reading, going with the flow. I just see what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I'll buy a book and I'm like, I want to read it right away. Other times there's something in like pop culture, or I've watched an interesting documentary, or I'm interested in like a specific person or subject, so I'll reach for a book that has those themes in. But a lot of the time I just kind of go with the flow. It depends. If I've read like a heavy book, I'll want to read something light. So, and I don't really have a system. It's my system and it's called chaos. Now on to section 2, and what you're all really here for, it's the personal questions. Get ready for all of my secrets. Just have a drink. So question number 1 on the personal section. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you want to go? First things first, I'll go anywhere. I'm one of those who's like open to visiting anywhere really, because you know, it's a new experience and I'd like to see as much of the world as I can. But on my, you know, my list of where I want to go, top of the list's New York. It's just like, you know, the most famous city in the world really, and I just want to see what it's like and obviously visit all the bookshops. But if I travel to America, I'd want to like hit up other places. I'd love to like go on a road trip and go to lots of the national parks. Other places I want to travel to is Australia. I'd love to go to Japan, Greece. There's lots of places in Europe that I want to go, and since, you know, geographically where we're located in the UK, it just makes sense to go to places in Europe. I'm not fussed, just get me on a plane. The beach and the sea are calling my name. Question 2, what are some goals/hopes you have for yourself this year and in the near future? Obviously I want to keep creating content and putting a lot of time and effort into this community and my YouTube channel. I'm feeling such a creative outlet and it's been great for me confidence. It's like something I definitely encourage anyone who wants to take that leap to do. I also want to try and get more out of my comfort zone because I'm such a homebody.
Surprise, surprise.
And I'm very introverted. Like, you may not think so, you know, because she's sassy, but I recharge alone. Introvert problems. And I grew up very shy, so my instinct is to like, you know, go back into myself. So I want to get out of my comfort zone and have more experiences and meet new people, maybe people in the book community or friends I've made on Bookstagram. But I definitely want to push myself out of my comfort zone and continue to grow, both in a creative and content sense, but also in a personal growth sense. This is an interesting one. Question 3. What's been the biggest revelation about life that you've learnt that you had different views on 10 years ago?
Nostalgia based on trauma.
So 10 years ago I was 22, now I'm 32.
Trauma.
I mean 21. 13 going on 30. You know, I'm still learning, I'm still growing as a person. I don't think that ever stops. But the thing that I've sort of latched onto is to just be yourself. I know it's easier said than done, but just try to be you no matter what, because there's only one of you. You're one of a kind. No one else is like you, so why should you try and be like everyone else? And I know we grow up being that way in school, but as you get into your like mid-20s, late 20s, you start realising that it's quite an exhausting thing trying to fit in when it's so much easier. It just feels like a big exhale to just be yourself. And I think be yourself's just like a solid piece of advice. Also, don't seek your worth through other people or like friendship groups or how many people you're surrounded by. Like, I need to have X amount of friends to feel fulfilled. You need to be fulfilled from yourself. So find what hobbies and interests you like and do those. And if you do those hobbies, you will meet other like-minded people. Like with me, with the Bookstagram and booktube community, you meet like-minded people similar to yourself, and you realise that, you know, there's other people out there that have your interests, and if people don't like you for that, then they're not your real friends, so you'll make better friends. And this is all to say as well that, you know, time's a valuable resource and you shouldn't be wasting your time or thoughts on people and things that don't matter.
Yes, queen, go off, girl boss.
Anxiety queen over here telling you all this when it's, you know, much easier said than done. Yeah, there's some advice from a 32-year-old teenage baby girl. Question number 4. What is your day job / what did you study? So currently I'm a carer. I'm a carer for my brother. He's on the spectrum and needs help with like daily living. I don't want to go into it too much because, you know, that's his life. But yeah, at the moment I'm doing that. Prior to the pandemic, I was an assistant manager in a coffee shop. You know, I know how to make good coffees, but did I love customer service? No, I got made redundant, so that makes you reassess. And the study aspect, I did go to university and I studied film studies. I graduated in 2017 and I still don't have a job in the film industry. Hire me. Question 5. How often do you practice yoga? If you've watched any of my vlogs or you follow me on Instagram, you know that I like to do a bit of yoga, and I've been doing it probably for 5 years or so. I started it just prior to the pandemic and then I would do it like consistently daily, and I still do it today. I did used to do yoga with Adrian, but she blocked me, so I don't support her anymore. You may be thinking, Rachel, there's a bit of a theme of you getting blocked. But I'm sorry, it's not my fault that she declared herself to be an ally, and when I asked her why she wasn't, she's got in her bio ally and advocate, and then when I asked her in the comments, I wasn't the only one, why she wasn't using that ally and advocacy shit to speak out for Palestinians, because she said nothing. I got blocked, so I don't support phonies. Now I mostly do like my own yoga stretches and practice like my own poses, or I'll do Move with Nicole or MabFit, and I like to do it at home because it's just so expensive. I would like to go to classes, but you know, she's on a budget. Question 6. What do you do besides reading as a hobby? Oh, for fun, sorry. Well, I love films, I love going to the cinema, and I've been like an avid cinema goer since I was like 15. You'd think so since I studied film. I also get great enjoyment out of moving my body and exercise and yoga. Mentally, I find that really helps me, and I like to have a bit of a routine with that. Really, I'm just a homebody, so I, you know, like spending time with the dogs, my family, and watching things on TV. So there's some things I like to do. Quite boring, really. Question 7. Favourite TV shows and films / what are some of your comfort TV shows and films? I feel like I'm squinting because it's bright out. So some of my favourites, comfort shows: Gilmore Girls, Friends, a classic, The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and New Girl. They're shows that I could watch over and over and not get bored of, and I find a great sense of comfort in them. Other shows that I love are Succession, True Detective, Mindhunter, whoever cancelled Mindhunter.
Right to jail, right away.
Jail. And I also just rewatched Mayor of Easttown with Kate Winslet, which is incredible. Watch it if you haven't. Now on to films. Some favourite films which change all the time, but these are just a few that, you know, came to me. Lost in Translation, Singing in the Rain. I have a bit of a soft spot for musicals. I always go Magnolia, Silence of the Lambs, Zodiac. I also love a film by Mike Leigh called Secrets and Lies, which is set in the UK. And there's a Turkish film I love called Mustang. And then there's a French film by Celine Sciamma, I think that's how you pronounce her name, called Girlhood. So yeah, there's some films that I've really loved and enjoyed, and they're up there. And then comfort films. Get ready for me to just relay films I've watched over and over from my childhood. 13 going on 30. Bridesmaids, so funny. Miss Congeniality, Dirty Dancing, Billy Elliot, Grease, Chicago. I did used to go to this like dance class, and we did a song to Razzle Dazzle from Chicago. I wish I had like some footage of it, it'd be funny. Bring It On, Clueless, Muriel's Wedding. God, I'm basic, aren't I? And yeah, they're just loads of films that I find comfort in and I watched growing up. 8. Where would you advise anyone visiting Liverpool for the day to go? Well, I would definitely start at the Albert Dock, the Royal Albert Dock. It's gorgeous down there, it's got the waterfront. There's lots of historical grade listed buildings, and it's just a really picturesque, gorgeous place to go in the city. Then I'd walk on through to Bold Street, where there's like lots of independent businesses and coffee shops, restaurants. That's where the bookshop News from Nowhere is. It's a very walkable city as well, so if you started at one end, you could be at the other end of the city in like 25 to 30 minutes if you know where you're going, if you're like me and you power walk everywhere. And then if you have a car, you could, you know, hit up some of the touristy things. If you're into the Beatles, they're in South Liverpool. And you could also go to Sefton Park, which is a gorgeous large park we have in the city. It's more on the outskirts of the city, and there's a place around there called Lark Lane where they have lots of nice coffee shops and bakeries and cafes. But yes, some places I'd recommend for you to hit up are, for coffee, I'd go Hardware, Ropes and Twines and Mother Espresso. For food, I love Murray. They have 2 locations, Duke Street Food Hall, the Vibe Cafe where they do lots of vegan brunch lunch foods, Rudy's for pizza and the Buyers Club for pasta. Question 9, very English centric. What's your favourite tea? And what are you looking forward to this summer? My favourite tea, spoken like a true northerner, is Yorkshire Gold. Or just Yorkshire tea in general, but if you want a strong cup of English tea, it's Yorkshire. And if you can't get Yorkshire, it's PG Tips. Tetley's like bottom of the barrel for me. Summer plans, Taylor Swift Eras Tour. I'm going to 2 nights and I can't wait. I'll vlog that as well if you're interested. I'm hoping to have some fun days out, maybe try and go on holiday, but nothing's set in stone, nothing's planned, so fingers crossed. The final question is, any plans on travelling and maybe to San Diego we can hang out? First of all, don't encourage me. Me booking a plane there with no money. This sort of feeds into the last one. You know, I've got nothing set in stone, but I would love to travel this year somewhere. Possibly have a European summer vacation.
This is what dreams are made of.
But yeah, I'd love to travel more. I love seeing new places, and it's such a privilege to get to travel around. And yeah, I'd love to visit San Diego and California in general. These places are calling. Me bank's just telling me, girl, it's not the time. So yeah, those were all the questions. I hope you got a bit more of an insight into me as a person and me as a reader. Again, I'd just like to thank everyone for subscribing and liking the videos and supporting the channel. Let's keep it going, let's keep it growing. Poet. Yes, so if you like this video, make sure you subscribed. Do it. Like, comment, bell notifications so you can get alerted when a princess uploads. But yeah, that was the video for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I had a little bit of fun doing it. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.